Hey, what is up, guys? Oblivious here, and today we're going to be revisiting my NBA playoff prediction video that two videos ago I uploaded it. If you want to go check it out on my channel, I did it probably like maybe 10 to 20 days before the end of the regular season, so I kind of predicted how I thought the last few games were going to go. We're going to quickly just go into the final standings compared to right here. I have the final standings from that video that I projected, and then there's like one or two teams that really fucked me that we'll get into right now. Yeah, so this is the Western Conference Finals, the final standings, I mean. So here I have it, the Jazz being 53-19. I lost it by a game. The Suns actually called their exact record. Let's get it. And then I have 3-4. I have Clippers Nuggets, but it actually ended up being Nuggets Clippers. The reason for this is because the Clippers absolutely threw two games to end the season so they can avoid the Lakers. They just don't want to be on the bottom of the bracket, I guess. Here, let's see what it is. They don't want to be the 3 seed or the 2 seed because then through the play-in tournament you'd be able to play the Lakers through that. So here, let's just get back to this. Bada bada bing, bada boom. Okay, yeah, so I had those two flip-flopped. They actually did finish with the same record. It's whatever. And then I had Mavericks, Blazers, Grizzlies, Warriors, Spurs. So it's I did have Mavericks, Blazers, but the problem with me is in my standings, I had the Lakers at the number 5 seed. LeBron actually ended up being hurt for a little bit longer. They only had one less win than I projected, but there's a big difference, I guess, between them being a 5 seed and them being a 7 seed. As I look, if you look at the 7 and the 5, 6, and 7 seed, they all went 42 and 30. So it's kind of just they got unlucky with tiebreakers and stuff. I probably just didn't look into it enough to see through such a thing. But yeah, so basically in the Western Conference, the Lakers are the main team to throw off my whole thing. The Clippers, personally, like just sandbagged the last two games, so I couldn't really foresee that. And then the Lakers I just kind of called them wrong. They were just basically they were just worse than I thought they'd be. But they're going to be an absolute force as a 7 seed or however they enter the playoffs. And then basically the Warriors, I just has the 9 over the Grizzlies, but actually it's flip-flopped here because the Warriors kind of turned it on to the end of the season. Steph has been playing at MVP caliber level the past few games, and I know Ja Morant and LeBron James, I believe, on Twitter were talking about it last night, like he's the deserving MVP. Nikola Jokic is going to win it just because he literally hasn't missed a goddamn game all season and has been putting up amazing numbers himself. The 10 seed, I was correct with the Spurs. They just kind of blow. But, yeah, so let's go quickly to the East. Oh, shoot. Here's the Eastern Conference. I just want to preface this by saying I am a Sixers fan, so I mean, I had the Sixers as the number 1 seed. So I had Sixers, Nets, Bucks, Knicks, Sixers, Nets, Bucks, Knicks. So the 1 through 4 seed I actually had correct. How did I do for the games? Basically, the top 3 teams all had one less win than I thought, except for the Bucks. They had one more win, and then I actually called the Knicks correctly. So the problem with this, so basically in the West, the Lakers are the team that fucked me up, and in the East, the Celtics are the team that fucked me up. Jaylen Brown, like, tore something in his hand, so he's going to be out for the entire playoffs, and he missed the past, like, 10 games or so, so that kind of screwed me. But I did have it right where I had, like, the Hawks and the Heat as the 6-7, and I had the Hawks winning over a tiebreaker. They actually just had it. They ended up having one more win anyway, but I had that order correct, just not... Basically, I had the Celtics above these two, and then it would be the Heat and the play-in. So, and then the 8 seed, I had the Wizards. I actually did have them correct, and I had Wizards, Pacers, Hornets. So I actually called, basically the East I had mostly right. The only problem was that the Celtics fucked me up. I had them at the 5 seed as opposed to the 7. They just, obviously, without Jaylen Brown, were like, what are you going to do? And then back to the Western Conference. Basically, my main thing was I flip-flopped these two because Clippers, and then the Lakers fucked me up. I was incorrect about the Grizzlies and the seeding of the Grizzlies and the Warriors, but it's just whatever. That's just how games go sometimes. Obviously, I wasn't going to be perfect. But now we're actually going to go into the real play-in tournament. I did make a longer video about this, like, last night, but if for some reason it is having trouble uploading. So here's my Western Conference. So we'll go through that first. Yeah, they're all going to be shown here, but we're just going to kind of go through the games just to make it easier. So Grizzlies and the San Antonio Spurs in the first round. I don't like the Spurs at all. I don't think they're obviously a good enough team to make the playoffs, I guess, the play-in, but they're 6 below 500, so 6 games below 500, so that's not very good. The Grizzlies, on the other hand, they have shown to be a pretty good team. They've won me, a little bit of coin here and there, but yeah, they have Ja, as you know, so I think they're actually a pretty good team. So I have them winning this 9-10 seed and moving on the play-in to play. Let's see. So this is the Lakers. Golden State would be the 7-8, the other play-in tournament. I mean, I know LeBron actually like sprained his foot last night or something, or sprained his ankle. So hopefully he'll be back in time for this play-in game. I think it's tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Today is the 17th, as you can see down here. But yeah, I have the Lakers winning this game. Obviously, if you kind of look ahead, you can see I have the Lakers going pretty far in this one. But yeah, I had the Lakers winning this game and then moving into the 7th seed to play Phoenix. Rest in peace, Phoenix, for working all hard all season, going 30 above 500, 30 games above 500, and then drawing the Lakers in the first round. You just can't foresee some shit like that. So rest in peace, the Suns. Yeah. So then at the 9-8 seed for the final playing game, I have Memphis versus Golden State. I gotta go Golden State here. I gotta go playoff Steph, dropping like 40, 50 bombs. I think also I was incorrect in my first video. I said these games were like best of threes or best of fives. They're actually just single games, I believe. So that's even wilder. So yeah, I got Golden State winning this and moving on to be the 8th seed. So then let's go into the actual like Western Conference playoffs, round 1. So Utah versus Golden State. Utah's just an overall better team. It's literally Steph Curry versus an actual good team. So I'm going to have to take Utah in an overall series to win that. I don't think he can carry completely. I mean, he's obviously going to drop buckets, probably going to average like 30 a game. But I got Utah winning this. You know, like Mike Conley, Bogdanovich, and Donovan Mitchell. I know he might not make game 1, but he should be back by sometime later. So, I mean, I think their team overall, and obviously I'm not going to talk about the other one, the COVID fucking criminal himself, the big center, you know who I'm talking about, that French bastard. Um, yeah, so I got Utah moving on from this one. And then the Clippers Mavericks. This actually happened last year in the playoffs, and the Clippers won 4-2. This is without Kawhi. Yeah, so I got Clippers taking this one. Obviously, Kawhi in the playoffs has been excellent in his career. Obviously, he literally carried a team, the Raptors, not by himself. They had a good roster around him, but, you know, in all the Spurs years as well. But, yeah, I got the Clippers taking this one. They are actually a good team. At certain points during the season, they were actually the NBA's #1 ranked, like, power ranking team. So I do think they showed some very high highs. So Utah, LA Clippers meeting up in the second round here. And then down here's where I have the upsets. So let's start with the Denver-Portland game. I just think, like, playoff Dame and fucking CJ McCollum, they're both going to drop 30 bombs, and it's just them versus the Jamal Murray injury really sucks for the Nuggets. I mean, they obviously still have Jokic and like Porter Jr. and stuff, but I think this is going to be an upset. I'm going to have to put some money on this series. I'm sure I guess the Nuggets are going to be favored. So, but I think the 6 seed upsets a 3 seed here, and Portland moves on. Down here, originally in my first video, at the time, I was super high on the Suns, and now I'm just kind of backing out. I'm basically being a bitch just to everyone saying, like, oh, it's the fucking Lakers, bro. Like, LeBron, man. And goddamn Anthony Davis. They did it last year. They have championship pedigree, obviously. So, you know, I'm going to have to... I think I'm actually going to take, I guess, the upset here. I don't really know what the lines are going to be for these games, like the lines for the series, if who's going to be a favorite. But it could end up being the Lakers anyway. It probably will be. But I'm going to take the Lakers here. So 2 upsets on the bottom of the bracket, 2 non-upsets on the top, just like the favorites moving on. So let's get into round 2. Utah Jazz versus the Clippers. So Utah Jazz versus the Clippers. I just think playoff Paul George is gonna fucking choke again like this year. Even if they has Kawhi, I just do think the overall Jazz, they've shown throughout the entire season, they are a goddamn crazy team. They bang fucking threes. I actually saw a crazy stat last night. I believe the Jazz are the first team in NBA history to have 10 plus threes in every single game their season. So I mean, that's good as hell. You know, Mike Conley, everyone's fucking just they're shooters. Shooters shoot, and they shoot. And I just think Paul George will kind of collapse here, and I don't think Kawhi will be able to bear the load himself. So, yeah, I got Utah moving on to the Western Conference Finals. And then the Portland versus the LA Lakers. I just think this should be an easier one than even the first round. I think is the worst game for the Lakers. The Suns Lakers. It should be a good series. I could see it going either way, but I do have the Lakers kind of pulling it off a little bit. Maybe the Suns could take a game or two. Also for the Portland this game, I would say it's going to go 5 games or 7 games, whatever it is. And I think the Portland's just going to barely eke out a win there. The Clippers Dallas. I mean, last year it was 4-2. The Clippers won, so I'll just have them winning 4-2 again. Screw it. And then Utah Golden State, I think it would be like a 4-2, maybe a 4-3 series win for the Utah Jazz. Yeah, and then down here, so this Utah Jazz Clippers, maybe it's like a 7-gamer. I would say maybe 4-2 in terms of the Jazz winning 4 games versus the Clippers 2. And then down here we have Portland versus the Lakers. I had the Lakers winning this one. I'd say pretty easily, like maybe a 4-1 or you can't really go against Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, so they'll probably take a game, maybe 2, but I'd have it being like a 4-1, 4-2 kind of thing for the Lakers. So then we have in the Western Conference Finals, we have the Utah Jazz versus the Lakers. It's a good ass meeting. I mean, for the first half of the season, basically in the West, the Lakers were the 1 seed, and then they had all those slew of injuries with Anthony Davis going down originally, and then it was just all put on LeBron and his old ass body, who just wasn't able to keep going. So he got injured as well. And the Lakers just absolutely sucked ass without those two, obviously, because they're your stars. Like, what else are you going to do? But, yeah, I'll have them winning this one. And we'll get into, actually, my predictions for the Western Conference Finals in 1 second. So we're going to go through the East real quick. Yeah, so we have the Charlotte Hornets versus the Indiana Pacers. I got the Hornets winning this. I mean, not the Hornets. I got the Pacers winning this first round, this 9-10 game, and so the Hornets would be eliminated. I got this because Gordon Hayward. I looked up on Roto World a second ago. He's likely not going to play in the tournament, the play-in tournament, and I just don't think that the Hornets have just like good enough players. Like compared to Sabonis and like Karis LeVert are actually pretty good players, I think, and can kind of carry this series here. And then we have the 7-8 seed. We have Washington versus Boston. Boston, as I said, Jaylen Brown tore something in his hand. He's out for the entire playoffs. So I also, even with Jaylen Brown, I would still choose the Wizards because Bradley Beal should have won a scoring title. I mean, not really should have. Him and Steph obviously were amazing together. They were both amazing, I mean. And Russell Westbrook is obviously, he got his 182nd triple-double the other night to he passed Oscar Robertson and go past the record. So, I mean, I just think they are actually, like, they really turned it on. This team, if anyone remembers the beginning of the season, they started, like, 2-19 or, like, some absolutely crazy record they started at and must have been, since the All-Star break, their record must be pretty goddamn good. So I got the Wizards moving on to actually move in as the 7 seed here to face Brooklyn. And then I'll take that means the Celtics will fall to this other play-in tournament game. So Pacers, Celtics. This one could go either way, honestly. Like, I could see the Pacers name being right here, playing the Sixers in the first round as the 8 seed, but I'm just going to have to say the Celtics. I mean, I kind of like Brad Stevens. I hate the Celtics just because I'm a Sixers fan, but, they have some good players. They got, Marcus Smart, he's a straggly bastard and looks like a motherfucking mall rat, but god damn it. As I said, this could go either way, but I don't really think it matters. I think whatever team moves on is just going to get basically swept or maybe win a game versus the Sixers in the next round. And if that doesn't happen, I'm going to off myself as a Sixers fan. Like, we don't deserve to win anything if we can't even beat the Pacers or the fucking Celtics. I mean, I would really hate actually to play the Wizards. That could be out of all this play-in tournament, I think the Wizards are easily the best team here. And then the West Conference is obviously the Lakers. Like, the fact that they just got into the play-in is kind of crazy. So then we have the Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. I got the Knicks winning this because I just think the Knicks are actually a good team. I really like them. I've liked them. They've won me so much goddamn money. They're so good against them and the Suns all year, betting-wise, that just made me so much money because they're both amazing against the spread. When they're dogs, the Knicks, like, a lot of times you just take the money line and they'll fucking upset whoever. Like, doesn't even matter. And then we got the Bucks versus the Heat. This one hurts. I mean, I know Oladipo's out for the season. He just got injured or something the other day. But obviously, it's basically the same Heat as last year. They still got like Herro, Robinson, Butler, and fucking Adebayo, so they still have a good team, and they have been turning it on recently. They shit on the Sixers the other night. I mean, I don't really know if it was just kind of a weird game for us, honestly. But I think the Bucks are going to win here. Like, if they don't, they just have to absolutely just self-destruct the entire organization, get rid of Giannis. I mean, Giannis is going to want to leave, is my thing. He'll probably go to, like, I don't even know what team. I was going to say the Sixers. He'll probably go to, like, the Knicks or some shit next year, like, if this happens, because you just can't. You can't lose to the Heat again as a favorite. Like they did it last year. Obviously, the Heat ended up going on to the finals as a very good team. But whatever. I got the Milwaukee Bucks taking this one. So it's like much more set in stone in the East, it seems. I have the 1, 2s, 3s, and 4 seed moving on, versus in this, I have the 1, 4, in the West, I have 1, 4, 6, and 7. The 6 and 7, I do think those are actually going to be upsets. I'm going to put some scratch on those upsets. And then down here, we have back to the East. We have Brooklyn versus Washington. I love Washington, but Brooklyn is just the three-headed monster, obviously. You can't really say much else. They've got Kyrie, fucking Harden, and Durant, and they weren't able to play basically the entire season, like, at the same time at any point, except for, like, 3 nights ago they played. But then I know, like, the last 2 games, I think they sat, like, Durant and Harden just because they've been injury prone, so it was just Kyrie the last few games anyway. Actually, I think Durant has been playing, but I know Harden has sat a little bit. Yeah, but I have to have the Nets winning here. Like I think they're favorites to probably win like the championship, honestly. So I got the Nets moving on versus the Wizards here. And so then Milwaukee. So let's actually go back up top. So we have Sixers, Knicks. Obviously, I gotta go Sixers. I'm a Sixers fan. Who's gonna cover Joel Embiid? Nerlens fucking Noel is the answer, I guess. And I think Reggie Bullock and like Julius Randle are actually great players. Like from watching their games, Reggie Bullock he just bangs threes. He's very good at just shooting. And then Julius Randle's obviously just a damn near MVP candidate. But I got the Sixers taking this one, maybe in like a 4-2 or something like that. I think I could see the Knicks winning a game or two, but I just don't think they're there yet. They don't have. Maybe if they have Zion next year, they could do a little something, or Giannis or something like that. So then we have Bucks Brooklyn here. I gotta go Brooklyn. The Bucks have just never shown. They have pedigree, just to never in the playoffs have just never shown. I guess the opposite of pedigree, whatever the fuck that is. They have just no. They can never win like the big series, and this is the big series. I mean, the first round is honestly, if they lose that one, it's obviously worse. But if you lose to Brooklyn, they're like, it's fucking Brooklyn. They basically just built a super team in the East. What are you going to do about it? But, yeah, I got Brooklyn moving on here. I'd say 4-2. I think both of these Eastern Conference, the round two Eastern series are going to be like 4-2s for the favorites, honestly. And then we're going to get the eventual Philadelphia, Brooklyn, the series that I think everyone's probably been predicting in the East for a while now. The Bucks have been in there; they've thrown their hat in the ring, but I'm not really sure about them. Obviously, I think like if actually, I guess we're lucky that we got the 1 seed. We get to play home, so we get to avoid Brooklyn and Milwaukee. I think we could beat Milwaukee, but he's the only the only center in this entire side of the entire conference basically that can cover Embiid is like maybe Bam Adebayo and Giannis. I don't think any of these other teams have big centers. Like, who's gonna fucking cover him on the Nets? Like, I mean, I was at Spencer Dinwiddie, but I guess Blake Griffin or I think I'm pretty sure they have DeAndre Jordan. I'm not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just reunited Lob City. But so then we have the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. Jazz Lakers versus and Sixers Nets. So I'm gonna have the Lakers. I gotta do it. I just gotta say the Lakers move on here. Like, I'd be an idiot to not choose the last year's winner. And then in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm an idiot to not choose my goddamn team. I'm choosing the Sixers to move on to the finals versus the Lakers, and I'm gonna have the Sixers winning the finals. I'm obviously biased. Put in the comments how you guys think like the different things that could go. I could see maybe me being wrong about some of these games and Lakers getting taken out early. It could happen, but I'm not really sure about. I mean, maybe even this Jazz Golden State series that could be a goddamn barn burner for the Jazz. Like, obviously it's playoff stuff. What are you gonna do about that? This Eastern Conference, I think this is pretty good actually. I do think the Sixers, this is their year. If they can't do it this year, when the fuck are they gonna do it? They actually, Daryl Morey comes in and just makes huge moves to get Doc Rivers and big free agents like Danny Green and Dwight Howard. So I think the Sixers are gonna take it. And I just want to know what you guys think. Hope you're having a great day, and goodbye.